All right, here we are. Last step in using Azure Site Recovery to migrate our VMs and do all the work for us. I'm not actually going to migrate it right now. What I'm going to do instead is a test failover, which is the same thing, go through the same process without actually killing it. Let's start by looking at these graphics of the way it works. Okay, so I can see my on-premises, I've got the Hyper-V virtual machine, it's connecting up to Azure Site Recovery and the storage account where it's being held. Okay. And now I can look at this and say, okay, this is healthy, it's protected, it's got RPO of 1 minute, all right, and you can see when it's crash consistent, it is yelling at me that I've never performed a test failover. So we need to fix that. Here's the cool thing, I can go plan failover, I can do an emergency failover, I can do a test failover, perform a test failover. Let's use proper English. And that's what I'm going to do, or perform. Okay, so I'm going to go from demo site to Azure. Okay, I've got options. I can go the lowest RPO, which is the absolute latest. And of course, if I'm going to go with something production, that's what I'd probably want to do. But for this, I'm just testing it. So we'll just go with the latest processed. So you can give me the fastest failover. Okay, I'm going to select my ASR.NET. Now it's going to tell me that I really shouldn't use ASR.NET because I'm already using it. But I'm a rebel, so we're going to do it anyways. And it is now failing over. And I'll pause this because, again, watching something spin, as I've said in previous demos, not terribly exciting. But under 2 minutes to start a test failover, that's kind of cool. All right, looks like our test failover is done. All right, so that was successful, successfully completed the operation. Now, what that means is if I pop over and go to my network, I should see I've got a connected device. That's my network interface. And I can, let's see, I don't have a public IP address. I'm going to have to fix that. Okay. Thought I could pop over there and see the public IP address, but I sort of forgot it. But I do want to show you that I've got the virtual machine. Now I've got 2 virtual machines. I actually have the Hyper-V host because I ran the entire demo from within Azure, although the process would be exactly the same if my Hyper-V host were actually on site. Okay. I've got my protected Linux test. All right, that's my VM there. All right, and the big test for this VM is going to be to give it a public IP address. Okay? And so we'll go back through the process and add a public IP address. Probably wasn't a bad thing that I had to go back here and actually show you the whole thing instead of jumping right to the public IP address. All right, and at this point, I'm just boring you, but what the heck? We're going to go to, there we go. Man, that took a while to get there. There we go. Got my public IP address and create a new public IP address. That is a terrible name for it. ASR, not ASP. ASR demo pip. This is fun to say pip. All right. And save that. And again, I'm not going to make you wait for that public IP address to create. As soon as that's done, we'll pop back in and see if I can connect to the website, that highly customized website that has been carried over from on-prem into Azure. All right, I have a public IP address. Let's just make sure that everything's solid here with my test failover virtual machine. I should see there's a public IP address right there. And I'm going to copy that and allow access and make sure it actually copied. There we go. And here is the big finale to the whole thing. And I really hope this works. I really hope this works. There we go. And there we go. We are there. You cannot see this, but my hands are in the air because I have navigated now through a public IP address to a virtual machine that's running in Azure. And that was replicated over from an on-premises machine, even if the on-premises machine happened to be running in Azure itself. Again, that's immaterial. Trust me, that actually makes it slightly more difficult. But there you go. That's the process. Well, to be fair, you're done with part of the test, right? You'd have to make sure that everything can connect, and then of course you'd have to perform the real actual migration. But the process of the migration itself is pretty much what we just went through. But of course do test. That's important.